AITA for letting my ex laugh in court until the judge awarded me everything? Hi everyone, I am a 32-year-old guy and I really need to get this off my chest. It is about my divorce. Honestly, it has been eating at me for a while now. I have been working as a mechanic for 10 years. I started right after finishing automotive tech school. I work at a pretty reputable auto repair shop in our city. Well, I should say I work there, but I will get to that later. I have been fixing cars since I was 16, learning with my uncle in his garage. After tech school, I got my certifications and everything else. A lot of people think being a mechanic is just changing oil and that is it, but it is way more than that. Today, cars are practically computers on wheels, and you really need to know what you are doing. It is an honest living, it pays the bills, and most importantly, I absolutely love this job. I met Jenna, obviously not her real name, about 7 years ago when she brought her car into the shop for repairs. Looking back, I should have seen the signs from day one. She kept repeating that her car was high-end and needed special attention. I remember thinking she was a bit pretentious, but frankly, when she smiled, I forgot all about it. She worked at a very fancy marketing firm in the downtown business district, always dressed in ridiculously expensive business attire and carrying designer bags with names I could not even pronounce. I am not going to lie. At first, I felt incredibly lucky that a woman like her would be interested in a guy like me. I made a good living, but I came home every day with grease under my fingernails. You know what I mean? We started dating, and initially everything was going pretty well. She seemed genuinely interested in what I did, asking me questions about cars and all that. Sometimes she would bring lunch to the shop, and my coworkers would joke that I had managed to land a super classy girlfriend. I thought she was different from those typical corporate types who look down on blue-collar workers. Despite our differences, I believed we had something special. She often told me how much she admired my work ethic, and that she loved the fact that I was following my passion. After about 2 years of dating, we got married. We had a decent-sized wedding, mostly paid for by her parents, though I contributed as much as I could. Her dad seemed okay with me at first. He was a big real estate developer, but he acted like he respected the fact that I worked with my hands. That is probably why he agreed to co-sign my mortgage. Yes, I bought the house before we got married. I had been saving for years, living in a tiny apartment, putting away every dollar I earned from side jobs. The house was nothing extraordinary. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a decent yard. But it was in a good suburban neighborhood, and I was proud to be able to afford it. Having her father co-sign got me a better interest rate, but I paid every single monthly installment myself. I never missed a single one. Jenna seemed enthusiastic at the beginning, talking about how we could renovate it together and make it our home. Then she started making little remarks, especially when her coworkers came over, which happened rarely. She would say things like we plan on moving to a better neighborhood soon, or this is just a starter house. It made me feel like everything I had worked so hard for was not enough. I quickly noticed she did not like telling people what I did for a living. At her office parties, when she brought me along, she would introduce me as a business owner in the automotive industry. Technically, that became true later on, but at the time, it felt like she was ashamed to simply say I was a mechanic. My sister Kelsey saw right through Jenna from the very start. She would sometimes stop by the shop to get her car checked, and one day she told me she did not like the way Jenna looked at me, as if I were some improvement project. I brushed it off because, well, you know how sisters are, they always think nobody is good enough for their brothers. The first year of marriage was okay, I suppose. We had our routines. I worked at the shop from 7 in the morning to 6 in the evening, sometimes later when we had complicated repairs. Jenna worked 9 to 5, but often stayed late for client meetings or team events. I should have paid more attention to those late nights, but I was busy taking business management night classes at the local community college. I did not tell her about it because she always mocked any attempt at self-improvement that did not involve me quitting the shop. With hindsight, I clearly see all the red flags. The way she would wrinkle her nose when I came home with grease stains on my clothes, the fact that she stopped hanging out in the garage when I worked on my project car, the constant suggestions to go back to school to get a real career. But you know what they say about hindsight. Things really started going downhill about 2 years into our marriage. Jenna got promoted at her marketing firm, and that is when she became absolutely insufferable. She would come home talking about fancy client dinners and networking events, always bringing up this guy Adam who had supposedly helped her so much to get the promotion. I clearly remember one night in particular. She came home very late, around 11, wearing a new outfit I had never seen before. When I asked her about it, she told me there had been an urgent client meeting and she had to go buy an appropriate outfit. She made me feel like an idiot just for asking. That is when she started making weird comments about the house. My father-in-law, the one who had co-signed the loan, came over for dinner, and he was discussing real estate values and how I was holding Jenna back because I did not want to move to a more upscale neighborhood, right in front of me at the table. And she just sat there nodding while he explained that his signature on the loan gave him a say in what happened to the house. The worst part was how she treated my job. One day, a very wealthy client brought his Ferrari in for repairs. Most garages in town would not have touched it, but I have the certifications for luxury vehicles. Jenna told her friends that I was playing with expensive toys instead of focusing on a real career. Meanwhile, I was making a ton of money from those specialized repairs, but she never bothered to take an interest in that. I used to laugh it all off at first, but over time, it started weighing on me. And then there were the corporate parties. Honestly, a nightmare. There was one in particular, a very upscale Christmas party at a luxury downtown hotel. I had spent a lot of money on a nice suit just to fit into her world. The entire evening, she left me alone while she hung out with her coworkers. Her professional circle was something else. Just guys in expensive suits talking about their investment portfolios and vacation homes. One of them even asked me if I knew a good, reliable mechanic right after Jenna introduced me as her husband. She just burst out laughing while I stood there, feeling like a complete outsider. The distance between us only grew after that night. We used to at least eat dinner together almost every evening, but now she was working late more and more often. When she was home, she seemed distant, constantly checking her phone or laptop. I tried suggesting date nights or weekend getaways like we used to do, but there was always some work emergency or client meeting that ruined everything. I started noticing she was texting constantly, always keeping her phone face down, leaving the room to take calls. The classic signs, right? But I kept telling myself I was just being paranoid. After all, she was a marketing executive now. Of course, she had to take a lot of business calls. The real problems began when her brother got involved. That guy has always been a piece of work. He brought his car to my shop once and expected me to fix it for free because we were family. When I told him he had to pay like everyone else, he went whining to Jenna, saying I was being difficult. She took his side, claiming I should help family since I was only doing simple repairs anyway. My father-in-law got even worse too. He started showing up at the shop unannounced, asking me questions about my finances, demanding to see the paperwork regarding the house payments, claiming he was protecting his investment since his name was on the mortgage. It did not matter that I had never missed a single payment. I was working late almost every night, partly to avoid going home and having yet another argument about my supposed lack of ambition, and partly because of the management classes I was taking. Jenna never asked why I came home late. She probably figured I was just working on cars. She would sometimes make sarcastic remarks about how I chose grease and bolts over her. The breaking point came during one of her company's summer parties. They had rented a very fancy rooftop bar, and Jenna insisted I come. She said it would make up for me missing the last few office events, which was a lie. She was just telling people I had not shown up. When I walked in, I saw her standing very close to a tall guy in an expensive suit. I later found out this was her coworker Adam. The way they abruptly pulled apart when they saw me. Let us just say I am not as stupid as Jenna thought I was. I knew something was very wrong, but I did not have proof yet. I am not the type to snoop, but after that corporate party, I could no longer ignore what was going on. I started paying attention to the patterns. Every Thursday, she stayed late at the office, but her car was never in the parking lot when I drove by. Then came the credit card statements. Suddenly, there were all these charges at restaurants I had never heard of. Always for two people. Always on Thursdays. When I asked her about it, she got defensive, saying they were client meetings. Funny coincidence that these meetings always took place in romantic downtown restaurants. One day, while checking the mail, I found an envelope from a jewelry store, one of those flashy places where everything costs more than my first car. Inside was a receipt for a men's watch. My birthday was months away, and Jenna had never bought me jewelry before. She always said it was not practical for a mechanic to wear anything valuable. When I tried to talk to her about all these changes, Jenna turned it around on me, calling me insecure and controlling, taking jabs about how I was becoming obsessive and paranoid. Every time I brought up something that did not make sense, she put on this condescending attitude, as if I were a kid making up stories. The harder I pushed, the more she pulled away, spending even more time at the office. It reached a point where I barely recognized the woman I had married. But the absolute proof came from a girl at her office. Let us call her Nicole. She came to my shop for an oil change and seemed surprised to see me. She said something like, "Oh, I thought you two were already separated." When I asked her what she meant, she explained that everyone at the office knew about Jenna and Adam's private lunches. Apparently, they were not even trying to hide it anymore. Nicole also mentioned that Jenna was telling people at work that we were separated and no longer living together. Meanwhile, I was still coming home every night to cook dinner that she never ate, and I was paying all the bills. I found out she had even taken off her wedding ring at work, claiming it did not fit her professional image. It is hard to describe how it feels when your whole life turns out to be a lie. I knew it was coming. Every memory started to feel tainted. The nights spent waiting for her, all the times I had defended her to my family when they said she was changing, even that expensive suit I bought for the Christmas party. I was living in some sort of parallel universe where I was still trying to save our marriage while she was already telling everyone it was over. The worst part was not even the betrayal. It was realizing the sheer amount of effort she put into making me look like the naive idiot incapable of seeing what was happening right under his nose. I started gathering evidence, knowing our marriage was already dead, but determined not to let her walk all over me the way she had with everything else. A buddy of mine who is a police officer helped me set up a system, documenting dates, times, suspicious expenses, screenshots of her location proving she was not where she claimed to be. Every new piece of evidence felt like another nail in the coffin of our marriage. But at least this time, I was the one holding the hammer. They had quite the well-oiled routine. She would tell me she had marketing conferences on weekends, but in reality, she was meeting him at a fancy downtown hotel. I found the receipts for that too. She had mistakenly used our joint card instead of her own. Amateur mistake. What really crushed me were the screenshots I found on her laptop, houses they were looking at together. Big, luxurious homes in the most expensive neighborhoods in town. In their messages, he was laughing about how he would be able to afford them once she dropped the dead weight. I am pretty sure that meant me. My sister Kelsey dropped by the shop one day and found me in a terrible state. I was sleeping poorly, obviously. She saw all the proof I had collected and told me I needed a lawyer fast. She knew a guy who specialized in divorces, and she said he had handled cases like mine before. Despite everything, I kept up with my business classes, staying late at the shop, fixing cars. One evening, she came home early enough to catch me reviewing financial documents at the kitchen table. "More repair invoices?" she asked with her condescending smile. "Yes, just trying to keep track of everything," I replied, sliding my business school homework under a pile of actual shop paperwork. "You know how it is for us simple mechanics." She sighed theatrically. "You know, if you let me handle the bookkeeping like I offered. I do have an MBA after all." "Oh, I would not want to burden you with my little shop's problems," I replied, thinking about the business valuation class I had just passed with flying colors. "Besides, you are so busy with all those late meetings these days. Speaking of which, how was tonight's?" "Very productive," she answered, suddenly very engrossed in her phone. "I am sure you guys are working on something important," I muttered as I put my papers away. "Well, do not let me distract you from your important executive responsibilities. I will just stick to what I do best." She gave me that pitying look I had come to despise, then walked away. Let her think I was the dumb mechanic. She had no idea what I was putting together, and honestly, it was better that way. While she looked down on my profession, I was quietly building something much bigger. But the final straw was when I checked our joint savings account and found it almost empty. She had transferred nearly all the money somewhere else, leaving just enough to cover the monthly bills. When I confronted her, she claimed she was investing in her future. She was not even trying to hide it anymore. That is when I finally called the lawyer. Meeting with him was an eye-opener. He reviewed everything I had put together and told me I had a rock-solid case, especially since our state factors infidelity into divorce proceedings. He also advised me to keep acting completely normal while he drafted the paperwork, and that was undoubtedly the hardest part. For weeks, I had to pretend everything was fine. Every morning, I watched Jenna get ready for work knowing she was going to see Adam. She would come home late, and I had to listen to her lies about supposed client meetings. I even had to sit through a dinner with her parents one night, where they spent the entire meal explaining how I needed to sign over part of the house to Jenna for her security. The lawyer suggested I get proof of her father's demands regarding the house. So, I started recording our conversations. It was perfectly legal in my state with one-party consent. I got some very interesting material, like him literally telling me in a joking tone that he would make my life miserable if I did not give Jenna what she wanted. Then came the day everything blew up. It was a regular Thursday, the famous night Jenna always came home late. My next-door neighbor called me at the shop. "I think you should know, Jenna just pulled up with a guy I have never seen." They went inside together. I knew exactly who it was. My hands were steady when I drove home. It is strange how calm you can be when you finally face something you knew was inevitable. I walked in and found them in the kitchen. Jenna and Adam, standing very close together. The look on his face when she saw me standing there, I will never forget it. "Get out," I said calmly. "Both of you right now." Jenna's face went from shock to anger in a split second. "This is my house too. You have no right." "The house I pay for," I replied, still using that level voice that seemed to make her even angrier. "You have 30 minutes to pack a bag and leave." Adam quietly slipped out while Jenna screamed about her rights. She was still yelling when she called her dad. 20 minutes later, her dad's SUV screeched into our driveway. Her brother Josh jumped out before the vehicle even came to a full stop. "You cannot kick my daughter out," her father yelled, trying to push past me to get into the house. Josh was right behind him, puffing out his chest like he was ready for a fight. I held up my phone, which was already recording. "You are both trespassing on private property. I already called the cops. They are on their way. This is my daughter's house. I co-signed the loan." "This house is mine," her dad screamed, shoving a folder in my face. But I saw the hesitation in his eyes. "Your daughter has been involved in an inappropriate relationship for months," I said loud enough for the gathering neighbors to hear. "I have proof of everything. Hotel receipts, text messages. Do you really want to do this right here in public?" That is when the police showed up. It seems Jenna's family forgot I had the local police department's number on speed dial after servicing half their vehicle fleet. Josh made one last grab for the door, but froze instantly when he saw the officers approaching. It is funny how quickly people's attitudes change when they realize they are facing a trespassing charge. The next hour was surprisingly calm. Jenna packed her bags under police supervision. Her father and brother stayed by their car, looking less and less confident by the minute. As she left, Jenna tried one last threat. "You are going to regret this. You have no idea what you are doing." I just smiled. Actually, for the first time in a long time, I know exactly what I am doing. The very next day, my lawyer filed for divorce. Jenna was served the papers at her office. I found out later that she made a massive scene, crying in front of her co-workers, going on about how cruel I was. All the while, she had been planning to take half my assets and move in with Adam from the very start. Her lawyer contacted mine to try and negotiate before things escalated. They offered to let me keep the house if I paid Jenna a huge settlement. The amount was completely delusional, like they thought I was hiding money somewhere. My lawyer told them to go to hell. The following weekend was pure chaos. Jenna's family was telling anyone who would listen that I was abusive, that I had trapped her in a bad marriage, and that I was trying to throw her out on the street. Some of her friends even posted things about me on social media. My sister wanted to fire back, but I told her to let them dig their own graves. Jenna tried coming back to the house to grab more of her things, but I had already changed the locks. My lawyer said she now had to go through official channels. She left a long voicemail calling me petty and immature. Pretty ironic coming from someone who got caught letting her boyfriend snoop around my house. The next few weeks were an absolute administrative circus. Her lawyer kept sending aggressive letters, claiming Jenna was entitled to everything because her dad's name was on the mortgage. They genuinely thought they had me cornered. They even sent an itemized list of everything they wanted. The house, half my savings, my project car, and even my tools, as if they were shopping from a catalog. The first hearing was just a preliminary one, but Jenna and her clique were already acting like they had won. She walked in with her parents, Adam, and a very slick-looking lawyer who seemed straight out of a TV show. They all sat together, whispering and pointing at me like I was some kind of joke. My lawyer had advised me to wear my work clothes. Not the greasy ones, but my clean shop uniform with my name and certifications on it. He said it would show I was a hard-working professional, not the deadbeat they were trying to paint me as. Jenna literally burst out laughing when she saw me. She told Adam, loud enough for everyone to hear, that I did not even know how to dress properly for court. When Jenna's lawyer started explaining how she had supported my career and helped build the business, I thought I was going to explode. They tried to claim she managed the shop's bookkeeping, which was a complete lie. She had never once laid eyes on my business records. Then they brought up the house. Jenna's dad testified, stating he co-signed the loan because I was not financially stable enough to get approved on my own. He made it sound like he had done me some huge charity favor. My lawyer just sat there taking notes, perfectly calm, while they spun this entirely fabricated story. The real show started when they brought up Adam. They tried to say he was just a regular coworker, someone who helped Jenna get through a difficult time. Meanwhile, my lawyer had printed out copies of their text messages, hotel receipts, and photos of the two of them together on dates when Jenna claimed to be away on business trips. Jenna's mother stood up and delivered a theatrical speech about how her daughter deserved a better life than being a mechanic's wife. She said I was holding Jenna back from reaching her true potential and that the prenuptial agreement they had wanted us to sign, which I had refused, would have protected everyone. All the while, Adam sat there looking incredibly smug. He even brought paperwork showcasing his salary and bonuses, trying to prove he could provide a much better lifestyle. My lawyer just smiled and added the papers to our pile of evidence. They had absolutely no idea what was coming. During the recess, I overheard Adam and Jenna's brother discussing how they were going to redecorate my house. They were talking about turning my garage workshop into a home gym. Jenna's dad was already on the phone with a contractor to get renovation quotes. The weirdest part was when Jenna's lawyer tried to claim she had partial ownership of my tools because she had helped pick them out for the business. My lawyer asked her to name even one specific tool she had supposedly helped select. She could not answer, and then tried to cover it up by saying she meant she supported the general tool buying process. The judge literally raised an eyebrow at that statement. They also brought up my night classes, but twisted them entirely. They claimed I was neglecting the marriage by going to school instead of spending time with Jenna, conveniently leaving out the fact that she was spending those exact same evenings with Adam. By the end of that first day, Jenna's lawyer laid out their demands. They wanted the house, claiming her dad's signature gave them rights to it. They wanted half my business assets, which they still knew nothing about. They even wanted my project car, stating Jenna had endured years of me working on it and therefore deserved compensation. The judge scheduled another hearing for the following week. On our way out, Jenna's dad tried to corner me in the parking lot, telling me all of this could go away if I simply signed what they were asking for. My lawyer got the whole thing on video. The week between the two hearings was pure torture. I barely slept, knowing everything I had worked for was on the line. Jenna's dad threatening me in the parking lot kept playing on a loop in my head. And even though we had it on video, I worried it might not be enough. My lawyer assured me we had a bulletproof plan, but I could not shake the feeling that Jenna's team was plotting something else. Every night, I would go down to my garage and just sit there staring at my tools, wondering if this might be the last time they belonged to me. My family tried to cheer me up, but they could see I was at the end of my rope. What Jenna and her family did not know was that all this pressure was only fueling my determination to see this through to the very end. When the second hearing finally arrived, I felt like I was stepping into the ring for the fight of my life. Jenna's side paraded their witnesses one by one. First, their appraiser, who had miraculously inflated the value of my shop without ever setting foot inside. Then Adam, spinning his tale about Jenna's emotional struggles tied to my blue-collar status. And finally, her dad, attempting to rewrite history about his role in our lives. Through it all, my lawyer kept taking notes with this knowing smile, while I just thought about how none of them had a clue what was about to hit them. The real showstopper happened when it was our turn. My lawyer called our first witness, my former boss from the shop. Over on Jenna's side, they looked utterly confused. They probably figured he was just going to testify to my reliability or work ethic. Instead, he pulled out a contract dating back 6 months. It turns out that when he was getting ready to retire, he did not just hire a manager to replace him. He sold the entire business to me. I had owned the shop for 6 months, but I kept working the floor just like before because I genuinely loved the work. You should have seen their faces. Adam's smug smile vanished in a heartbeat. Jenna's dad stopped whispering incessantly into their lawyer's ear, and Jenna turned completely pale. My lawyer started laying out the documents. The business management classes I had been taking for 2 years to prepare for the takeover, the commercial loan I secured with absolutely no co-signers, and the shop's financial statements. The business was doing phenomenally well, far better than they could have ever imagined. The specialty repairs I was doing on luxury vehicles were bringing in massive revenue. Then my lawyer revealed the actual valuation of the business. All those nights Jenna thought I was just turning wrenches, I was building an empire. The shop held contracts with 3 luxury car dealerships, a fleet maintenance agreement with a local company, and was gearing up to open a second location. Jenna jumped up and tried to interrupt, shouting that she was entitled to half the business since we were married when I bought it. That is when my lawyer pulled out the purchase agreement, dated 2 weeks before I found out about her inappropriate relationship, fully funded by my personal savings and a commercial loan exclusively in my name. The judge asked Jenna why, if she was as involved in the business as she claimed, she had never known about the sale. Her lawyer tried to spin a tale about hidden assets, but it fell completely flat. We had hard proof showing Jenna was with Adam on the exact day I signed the purchase papers. Her dad tried to salvage what he could by bringing up the home mortgage again. My lawyer calmly proved that I had already refinanced the house. I had been easily approved thanks to the business revenue. Jenna's dad was not even a co-signer anymore. I had taken care of that months earlier while they were busy plotting how to strip me of everything. During the recess, all hell broke loose in the hallway. Jenna was screaming at her lawyer, blaming her for not investigating my finances more thoroughly. Adam was completely gone. Clearly, finding out his girlfriend was not about to get rich had changed his plans. Jenna's brother was frantically calling someone on his phone while their mom tried to calm everyone down. The highlight was Jenna's dad. His face was beet red with rage as he yelled at his lawyer for missing the business purchase, repeating over and over that they should have hired a private investigator. My lawyer recorded the whole meltdown on his phone, noting it might come in handy if they tried anything else. When we headed back into the courtroom, Jenna's demeanor had totally shifted. Suddenly, she was in tears, pleading to the judge that she had always believed in my dreams and supported my career goals. She even tried claiming she had passed up better job opportunities to stay in town and help me succeed. The judge looked completely unimpressed. Her lawyer attempted a new angle, arguing that Jenna's emotional support had been critical to my business's success. She asked for a percentage of the shop's value as compensation for her contribution to its growth. My lawyer countered by playing the audio recordings where she mocked my job, called me a simple grease monkey, and complained to Adam about how embarrassed she was by my profession. Right then, a guy in a suit appeared out of nowhere. It turned out Adam had sent his own attorney. The guy proceeded to state that Adam was unaware of the situation's complexity and wished to distance himself from any financial disputes. Jenna looked like she had just been slapped in the face. I guess her boyfriend was not willing to stick around once he realized she was not getting a dime. The final ruling was absolute perfection. Jenna got nothing from the business. The judge declared she had zero claim to an asset she did not even know existed. I kept the house completely free and clear. She got to keep her car, which was in her name anyway, and was awarded a tiny transitional alimony payment for 3 months. That was it. Jenna completely lost her mind. She started sobbing about how unfair it all was, wailing that she had wasted years of her life with me. The judge literally ordered her to be quiet or face contempt of court charges. Her mother practically had to drag her out of the room. The fallout was explosive. Jenna's dad tried to spread rumors about me in the local business community, but it backfired spectacularly. It turned out the other garage owners already knew I had bought the shop. We all worked together through the local merchants association. Some of them even started sending their luxury car clients my way just to rub salt in the wound. My shop's reputation got an even bigger boost. People loved the fact that the boss was still out there working on the cars himself. I started pulling in even more high-end clients, people who wanted someone who actually knew what they were doing, not just a businessman who bought a garage. Remember Adam slipping away during the court recess? Well, karma caught up with him too. It turned out his company had very strict policies regarding workplace relationships. Someone, definitely not me, forwarded the court documents to their human resources department, proving he was involved in an inappropriate relationship with Jenna while she was still married. He got demoted and transferred to a tiny branch office 3 states away. Jenna tried to hold on to her job, but the entire scandal wrecked her professional reputation. The major client she and Adam were managing requested a different team after the whole mess came to light. She eventually resigned and tried to sue the company for a hostile work environment. Let us just say that went absolutely nowhere. Meanwhile, my shop is absolutely thriving. I opened that second location I had been planning for so long. I hired some incredible mechanics who truly respect the trade. Jenna's dad tried to save face around town, going around telling people he had mentored me, desperately trying to take credit for my success. Nobody bought it. The other business owners had seen the court records proving he tried to take my house. His reputation took a massive hit. Apparently, folks do not like doing business with a guy who tries to rob his own son-in-law. As for the house, she wanted so badly. I just finished the renovations. I added an amazing new garage, twice the size of the old one. Sometimes I see her slowly driving by, probably thinking about all the plans she had for the place. Her brother still takes his car to other shops and pays way more for much worse service. Last month, I got a massive email from Jenna. She wrote about how much she regretted her choices and claimed she never wanted to hurt me. She said she finally realized Adam was not the person she thought he was, especially after he accepted his transfer without even giving her a heads up. She wanted to know if we could sit down and talk things out. I never replied. My sister Kelsey keeps telling me I should write a book about this whole ordeal, but right now, I am way too busy running my shops and doing what I love, working on cars. The best revenge is that I still wear my shop uniform most days. I could wear suits if I wanted to, but I am damn proud of who I am and what I do. The mechanics respect me more because I am not afraid to get my hands dirty right alongside them. We just landed another major contract, and I was underneath a car doing an inspection when the clients arrived to sign the paperwork. Some of Jenna's friends who used to mock my job are now trying to get VIP treatment at my shop. They act like they never made fun of me for being a grease monkey. I treat them exactly like any other customer. There is no need for petty revenge when success speaks for itself. Edit. Holy cow, this blew up. Thanks for all the support. For everyone asking, yes, I am still single and no, I am not looking. I am enjoying my drama-free life way too much and focusing on growing my business. Comment. Hey everyone, I wanted to share a few thoughts with you all after reading this story. What really stood out to me is how important it is to hold on to your self-respect, no matter what. I believe we all deserve relationships where our work and values are truly appreciated. Setting clear boundaries early on can save us from so much heartache later. Taking responsibility for our own growth, even when things get tough, is what builds real strength. Healing does not happen overnight, but every small step toward peace matters. I have learned that choosing kindness toward ourselves is never selfish. It is okay to walk away from situations that no longer serve our well-being. What about you? Have you ever had to choose your peace over staying in something familiar? I hope this story reminds you that you are worthy of a life filled with respect and quiet happiness. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.